I wanted to show you. I'll just actually I'll bring this back and I'll show you something. If you remember last year, we were plagued by sudden stratospheric warming events quite significantly. Not even a sign of those at the moment. But what we do have, and I'll show you these, and that's one of the reasons why there's been very few long wave troughs and very few cold pools actually detaching and racing up from Antarctica to really give us anything decent. And you wait to see just how strong the Arctic circulation polar vortex is. It is massively strong. Look at that. It is fat, fat, and fat. And it is definitely not a worry. You can see here, normally these are sort of these little snippets here where we look to see that a bit of cold air gets actually sort of shredded or torn off the Arctic, the polar vortex here, which is what can give us some weather. You can see here it's very stable, very flat. And look how strong the winds are. There's 211 knots there. I saw one for 263 knots or something there this morning, or that might have updated. But 220 knots is fairly racing along, and that just shows you how strong that is. And of course, when you've got those winds that strong, it's not letting any cold air escape from the Antarctic. I mean, not even on the right day. I'm at the end here. Go back to here might be helpful, mightn't it? So, I mean, again, that just proves my point. You look into this week, for example, you can see it's just one smooth, massive donut, and you can see as a consequence, they're very strong upper highs as well as associated with it, this is why we're getting this massive dry air and this just very still conditions. Look at the strength of that high. It's just nothing allowed. And I know this is way up in the atmosphere, but this is what really drives us in winter, these feral cells, which is what this is attached with. And you can see, again, just a donut. There's really nothing shearing off that. And you can see what has happened there. That high actually moves to the west, upper high, and that allows at least some of this polar air you can see here to sneak up across us for this week, which is what, this is feeding this trough. And again, the upper high starts to build again during that week, and then it starts to snake its way again to the west, and you can see things start to sort of ease off again. But pretty savage, strong upper vortex. This is looking good here, but of course it's not near us. It's going to peak. Look at that next high coming. Really just strong. And this is what we look for here. You can see this where it actually starts to break apart, and you can see snippets of the cold air start to get shorn off and thrown to the north. So if we're going to see the temperature here, and then you can see quite clearly. So again, that's what's helping fuel this change this week. But then it goes back to being quite flat. You can see it peaks, disappears, stays quite cold, and goes back to this really massive cold air mass, -82, all concentrated around the South Pole, right over Antarctica, and kept in line by that incredibly strong polar vortex, incredibly strong, and bang. But you can see what I was talking about here. So there's how that piece of it's being shorn off and snatched away and captured by the westerlies up, and then it'll be going across, and that'll actually create weather. But you can see it's well to the east of us, nothing coming our way. So, and you look here, it's just flat right across, even in South America. There's nothing going on whatsoever, which is actually quite unusual. Normally you see like a slither of this, like maybe two of this. And it's one of the things you might see people, commentate every now and then about the long wave troughs, and there's 2 or 3 active long wave troughs, and this is what you'll look for. You see there's probably 1 at the moment, and that's about it, which is again pretty unusual. As we push into next week, you can see not much else happening. But then we get this part here again, which is where those showers start to come back, and you can see why this bit of a trough in the way up the atmosphere starts to build, and it does start to shear off a little bit just above across. So that will help obviously feed those showers and keep the high well to the west this time. You can see it's way away from us, and that's obviously going to allow those showers to build for the following week into early July, which is a better situation. And then you can see that ridge starting to build towards the end of that period here. ridge starting to build here, and then it'll sort of start, I imagine it'll start to fine up after that. But yeah, so that was, just want to bring that up and show you. It's one of the reasons what is driving our weather at the moment is the polar vortex is incredibly strong, and then these upper highs which are driving it. So if I was to change the layers now, and we'll go down to the jet stream about 9 kilometers up, you can see the consequence of that is that the polar vortex is just reinforcing that subtropical jet stream, which is why we're having just fine, clear, nothing days. You can see here it's just blocking anything getting north. You can see there's quite a strong little shortwave polar trough here. Hits that jet stream, bang, goes nowhere, gets pushed back down again. And that's basically what's happening. If I was to sort of go through here, you'll see there's trough, bang, jet stream, bang, and that's why, again, that's why it's going to be cold and nasty, dry air from the end of this week. You can see the interaction of that jet stream. Again, the troughs hitting the jet stream, not much happening. And then we move into the weekend, and you start to see a bit of a change as the jet starts to split. And that's one of the things I was talking to you about the other day, about when you look out for the potential for East Coast low developments when these jets split. So you can see the subtropical jet now splits, goes north, the polar jet here splits. And then you get, this is where the chance for East Coast low development, but there's nothing really coming through that's, going to unfortunately encourage it. But it does help for those showers coming through in early next week. So fingers crossed that this sort of situation can actually help. So you can cut a bit of a cutoff low there in those mid levels, but you can see the result of it. Just really not much happening for us. And you can see just Tasman low away it goes. But another split jet coming from behind, which is what I was saying before. Like that seems to be a bit of an active, big split jet here. You can see the one jet stream there, one jet stream there. That's the sort of activity that I'm watching very closely about, because that can lead to East Coast low development if everything else does kick into gear. So again, some signs there, but nothing from behind it. This is what you're looking at here. Potentially to kick stuff up. You can see nothing here for us. Alrighty, that is about the end of it. I don't think there's any much more to discover.